Hello YouTube, my name is Mace. Welcome to my channel. It goes by the name of Dominant Genes. I will be speaking today about wisdom. Not too many people are actually speaking of what's wise from the perspective of someone who is 50. They categorize me as an African American. Now at 50 years old, I'm wise enough to know that that term was created by a European. And prior to that, I was called colored. Now, at my age, I clearly know my identity. I'm a Negro. I'm an Israelite. Now, people may think and say, hey, wait a minute. How are you an Israelite? You're not white. Those people in Israel are Jews. Who are you? Well, my friend, 70 AD, people who are so-called African Americans are Israelites, and they occupied the land of Israel during that time. There is the northern and southern kingdoms of Judah. Now, us being exiled out of our land in 70 AD was a curse that was brought upon ourselves because of our following after other gods and not being obedient to our God. And we have been enslaved by the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Americans. We were sent to a land for 400 years in this last captivity. And we were also entreated or mistreated after that. You know, the Jim Crow laws and different things that, you know, for 400 years. And that 400 years came to its end when the eclipse occurred. That ended the 400 years because 400 years from 1624 to 2024 in May marks the end. 1619, actually, chattel slavery didn't begin. It began in 1624. 1619 is when slavery began. Indentured servants were working alongside blacks, and then the elites or the people who were above thought it good to put the whites in the position of power as a slave master. And that put itself in place around in the beginning in the 1900s, where that really started to take root. And then you started to see the racist cartoons, and you started to see a lot of more of propaganda, but we probably didn't look at it as propaganda. You know, movies that depicted Egyptians as white, or, you know, the movies that depicted Jesus Christ as white. When the reality is that the letter J wasn't invented until 1526. Now, that's interesting, because how did we come up with the word Judah or the word Jesus? I'm going to tell you, all right? A lot of things occurred in the 1600s, and they're really good with teaching you your history beginning at the point of slavery. Yeah, you're an African American. Yeah, you were enslaved, but you're free now. And that's what they would like for you to just see things, but not anything before that time, all right? Now, prior to slavery, let's take it to the 1600s. All right, I'm gonna start right there, just a little bit, and not go further back. But the 1600s is when a Bible was presented to us. There were 66 books in that Bible. We didn't know. A lot of folks didn't know there are a lot of books that were missing out of represented Bible. Essentially, there are 88 books in the Bible, the original Bible in Ethiopia. The only country, mind you, that wasn't completely colonized, as all the other African countries were colonized. But how did these things happen? Well, we were in Europe ruling, as well as the Moors. We were living in Europe, and there weren't too many Caucasians during the time, let's say 900 AD, 800 AD. You know, there were white folks here, but it wasn't so many of them. And they weren't referenced as white folks, the term white and black. The terms white and black was created in the 1800s. when America was created, when colonization was created, because it was the purpose of that was to remove culture and identity from a people, completely take that away, and just make them a color. Now, you can ask any white person, right? What's your nationality? And they're going to say, oh, well, I'm a little bit of German, or maybe some Irish, or whatever the case is. But no one called themselves white or black before the 1800s. That was a construct created on the basis of colonialism for the purpose, the sole purpose, to remove culture and identity. Because had they not done that, people would have known that these people that were enslaved are, what, colored African Americans, Africans? No, we're actually Negroes or Israelites. Aren't Africans people in Africa? Would you call them Israelites? Well, the DNA is actually different. Different bone structure, different DNA structure. We're actually Shemitic people. Hitler wrote in his Confessions that when the world finds out that the people that were enslaved in America are actually the real Jews, World War III would start. And so therefore, there are some folks that appropriated the culture of the Israelites and have taken that identity and converted. There was a mass conversion going on with these people who call themselves Jews but are not. And the Bible references them as liars and as a synagogue of Satan. Yet, we would have our identity taken away and stolen. We would be made a byword amongst the nations. And there were other nations that took part in this, and they know these things about us. We were subjugated. We were lied to. Everybody was lied to. The whole world was deceived. Now the world is being revealed to the world and saying, "Hey, you know what? Jesus is actually an Israelite." People still are thinking and using the term so-called black or white, when really there's nothing black or nothing actually white. Okay, there's only two races or nations on this planet. Yeah, that's right. That's only two. Melanated and non-melanated. I am Aboriginal. Melanated people were all over the face of this earth. That's how it all has been originally. Whether if you were in India or China or in the Americas or anywhere you could think, even in Australia. Now, when Caucasians began to grow in their numbers, they already known that they can't mix with our seed and maintain their status as a race or culture. Caucasians technically, actually, right now, are 1/10 of the world's population. That means they're becoming a minority. They already are a minority in the world. And as a result of this, is because of their white skin. Them being Caucasian, them being Edomites. Essentially, biblically, they don't have the birthright. Because you need to be genetically dominant or dominant genes, hence my name. Our genes are dominant. You ever heard of the term one drop of black? You know, even if a person is mixed, a Caucasian person who wants no mixing looks as a mixed person still as a black person. They even look at redheads or people who are white with red hair texture. They call them gingers. They discriminate against them, you know. But our gene is dominant, and it is now outbreeding Caucasians. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing spoke of that, of how they are in fear of a genetic annihilation. Many Caucasians don't care of the mixing. They don't care. They know that eventually the whole world is going to be melanated. They know that. But there's a group of folks and elites that do not want that. And they want to keep a portion where it's completely white. But our dominant genes threatens that. That's why we have a caste system here that was created. That's why there was a campaign in South America to lighten up the dark. Because when you create a lighter culture of people that they have to put themselves in the box. They have to keep their lifestyle away from those who are colored. That's why there are caste systems. That's why there's a controversy or a rift between Caucasians and non-Caucasians. You know, that's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? And because if we do what Martin Luther King said, and we live in peace and harmony and come all together and, you know, kumbaya, that sounds good for us. But how ignorant can you be? We have dominant genes. We've been enslaved. We've been killed, put through a bottleneck, through slavery, subjugated after century, slavery after kingdom. America is not the first time we've been enslaved. The Babylonian captivity, the Assyrian captivity, the captivity in Egypt, Rome, there's more, there's a whole bunch, you know? But we're still here because of our genes, and the aggressive nature for Caucasians to exist is a very hard one, because they have to enact policies and create economies based off of bullyingism. Is when you go and you take control of another culture of people and their resources, because you don't have them within yourself. Your land that you're living at doesn't have those resources. And the land that does have those resources, which is near the equator, you can't live by naturally because you have no melanin, no protection from the sun. You need SPF 50 to protect your skin. Under UV light, SPF 50, you know what it looks like? Black tar, you know? They need this melanin, but they do not have the birthright. So they had to manipulate Africa, colonize all of Africa, except for Ethiopia, created the lie, stated that Jesus, using the letter J, is black when his name is Yeshua. Just lying to the folks. Rome was doing the whitewashing back in the 3rd and 4th century. Now, with President Putin releasing the iconography, showing that Rome was lying the whole time, because we have the iconography, even the same exact ones that wasn't whitewashed. A lot of lies have been told, and all these lies are being revealed step by step, one by one. And I'm going to tell everyone, because that black child in the hood, where mom's on drugs, dad's not there, or whatever the case is, and you go to these churches, all of these churches in here in the United States. I used to go to church, used to give my life to Christ, oh, Jesus, and this and that, all this. Yeah, it's just great, right? But these pastors are in these churches and they're not speaking the truth, telling them that the Lord that was killed, he's of your same roots, of your same culture, and of your same identity. You're not an African American. You're not colored. You're not black. You are an Israelite. Christ is an Israelite. An Israelite isn't a religion. It's a culture. There are 12 tribes, and they're all called Israel. The Bible specifically says why. And everywhere we dwelt, that's why it was named that place. Not the place. Israel in the land where they're at right now, Jerusalem, those are Germans, Polish people, converts, Europeans. They're not Israelites. It's a farce. The Bible says they are the synagogue of Satan. We are them, and we are here. And we needed to come out from Babylon, come out from the sinful world and the things that they like, and leave it. Don't touch it, taste it, touch not, and taste not. This is harsh, hard wisdom. Stay away from the smoking, the drinking, the drugs, and that sex out of marriage. I'm not perfect. I've made my mistakes, but leave that stuff alone. Save up your money. Be smart. Make investments. And just be wise. And the training wheels for the first steps of learning wisdom is just doing the right thing. Being moral. Having integrity. That means when no one else is looking at you, what are you going to do? That's it for now. I'm going to speak more, and I got a whole lot to tell the world. And I'm over 50. And I want all the young people to hear me out and hear what it is that I got to say, because the things that I have to say, you listen to it and you apply it, it'll bless your life. All right. Well, for the next video, peace.